Once again, Christian greetings to all our valued listeners and viewers throughout the whole world. This is our special episode number 53 as the last final warning message just prior to the close of provision. And we focus our whole attention to the scarlet-colored beast. And without any doubts, the complete unfoldment concerning the symbolization of the scarlet-colored beast must be before probation closes. For if the revelation of the scarlet-colored beast will be understood after probation closes, then it is out of value. It could no longer serve its purpose to enlighten God's people. So, such unfoldment must be more pertaining to the saints that will no longer to taste death. The 144,000 living saints. So, let us read again the statement in 2SR 112. It says, since the scarlet-colored is the last in the symbolical procession of beasts, he must possess all the characteristics of his ancestors. The 10 horns of the nondescript beast, the 7 heads of the leopard-like, and his own unharmed heads show that he comes on the stage of action. After the deadly wound was healed, his scarlet color denotes curse, as it does on the dragon represented by the devil on Revelation 12 verse 3. And the words go into perdition, Revelation 17 verse 11, reveal that he is to bring this world to an end by a curse that will result in entire ruin, utter destruction, future misery, or eternal death. So the statement, he is to bring this world to an end by a curse, can be easily understood that those who will not be profited by the revelation of scarlet-colored, they will be among those people by which suffer such eternal ruin, utter destruction, future misery, or eternal death. I remember the statement on 2SR 102 saying, experience only can tell the joy in one's heart at a time when rescued from everlasting ruin and granted everlasting life without tasting death, merged into eternity's ceaseless ages, a life that measures with the life of God. So the statement, rescued from everlasting ruin, rescued from such deception, the complete satanic scheme by which the intention of the devil, according to 1SR 214, the intention of the complete satanic scheme is to deceive the whole world. The statement made by Christ is true, that he, Satan, will try to deceive even the very elect, the 144,000, if it were possible. The only way that we could be able to escape such complete satanic scheme is to study closely the chosen medium of God to unmask and uncovers the traps of the devil. And there is no other revelation by which God completely unmasks the deception of Satan. It is through the symbolization of the scarlet-colored beast. So we need to carefully observe every symbol because the shepherd's rod says that every little symbol there must be a meaning and reveals great truth. It says in 2SR page 194. Therefore, every little symbol has its meaning and reveals a great truth. So I would like to focus our attention to the 7 unharmed heads of the scarlet-colored beast. Who revealed the scarlet-colored beast? God. And what is the purpose of God? To enlighten God's people. According to 2SR page 10, it says, while the enemy has succeeded in confusing the written word, God lightens the earth with His glory by these symbolic revelations. And it's pointing to the beast study, symbolic revelations. And by which He discloses the entire truth and uncovers the traps of the devil. Uncovers the traps of the devil. Through the symbolization of the scarlet-colored beast, such complete satanic scheme is completely unmasked. And the shepherd's rod says, every little symbol has its meaning and reveal great truth. Now, let us now focus our attention to the statement in 2SR page 112 saying, his own unharmed heads. 2SR 112, it says, and his own unharmed heads. In 2TG number 18, page 18, the statement declared, 2TG number 18, page 18, here is a beast whose makeup is similar to that of the leopard-like beast of chapter 13. The horns of this scarlet-colored beast, though are crownless, and none of his heads are wounded. So, none of his heads are wounded. So, the scarlet-colored beast, he has 7 own unharmed heads. Now, let us distinctly separate the period of time by which he only possessed that characteristics of his ancestors. Now, I would like to read again, 2SR 112. It says, since the scarlet-colored is the last in the symbolical procession of beasts, he must possess all the characteristics of his ancestors. But I would like to focus only to the leopard-like beast, his ancestor pointing to the leopard-like beast. The word he possessed is the same with the term he inherits. I remember the statement in 2SR page 88 saying, and not one of them refers to anything in the past. Reading 2SR page 88. And not one of them refers anything in the past, save the hereditary ancestral characteristics. So, let us distinctly separate the characteristics of the scarlet-colored beast by which it does not refers anything in the past, and the characteristics of the scarlet-colored beast by which it is only a hereditary ancestral characteristics of his ancestor. Now, what is the hereditary ancestral characteristic that he inherit from the leopard-like beast? It is concerning the statement, the wound was healed. So, that characteristics, he only inherit from the leopard-like beast. Now, how about the leopard-like beast? What characteristics of the leopard-like beast that he inherit from the nondescript? The mono-sectarian system of that little horned head. But the leopard-like beast, he has a multi-sectarian system, but only 6, not complete, because the other one is mono-sectarian, which pointing to Catholicism. And the scarlet-colored inherits also both the nondescript and leopard-like. But he has his own characteristics. The multi-sectarian system by which number 7, and that is unharmed, not wounded. Or in other words, God is telling you and I how Satan works, how Satan introduces his deception. And the last card, the last and final deception of Satan, it was revealed by God through the symbolization of the 7 unharmed heads. The 7 heads by which they were not wounded. So, we will focus to that portion, brothers and sisters. Now, let's read 2SR page 113. It says, Thus the scarlet-colored beast has 7 unharmed heads. So, if you will say, 7 unharmed heads never been wounded. And that is the statement given in 2TG, right? Saying that none of his heads are wounded. 2TG 18, page 18. It says, Here is a beast whose makeup is similar to that of the leopard-like beast of chapter 13. The horns of this scarlet-colored beast, though, are crownless, and none of his heads are wounded. So, none of his heads are wounded, meaning never been hurt, never been wounded. The scarlet-colored beast has 7 unharmed heads, according to the voice of inspiration. Now, let us study closely, brothers and sisters. Now, let's read 2SR page 113. It says, Thus the scarlet-colored beast has 7 unharmed heads. The 7 heads represent Christendom as they do on the leopard-like beast. But it is in the symbol of the scarlet-colored that they are called Babylon. So, this is the question. Who are they by which they are called Babylon in the symbol of the scarlet-colored beast? Because the statement says, but it is in the symbol of the scarlet-colored that they are called Babylon. So I would like to repeat again. Who are they that they are called Babylon in the symbol of the scarlet-colored? Second question. What symbol of the scarlet-colored by which they are called Babylon? Let us read again the statement in 2SR, page 88. 2SR, page 88. It says, Another factor to be noted,
that every symbol of the entire procession of the beast point out facts that were to transpire within the period represented by its beast. Now, let us focus to that attention. Let us focus our attention to that portion. The statement is very plain that whatever the symbolization of its beast, it must point out facts that were to transpire within the period represented by its beast. But since we focus only to the scarlet-colored beast, whatever symbolization of the scarlet-colored beast, it must point out facts that were to transpire within the period of the scarlet-colored beast. Now let us read 2SR page 114. It says, 2SR page 114, the period represented by the scarlet-colored beast commenced in 1929. Now, brothers and sisters, it says, the period represented by the scarlet-colored beast commenced in 1929. Therefore, whatever symbolization of the scarlet-colored beast, it must transpire from 1929 onwards, according to 2SR page 88. As a matter of fact, it was definitely stated by the shepherd's rod by saying, and not one of them refers to anything in the past. 2SR page 88, it says, and not one of them refers anything in the past. So that is very plain. When we will be studying the subject, the scarlet-colored beast, whatever application, the fulfillment of its symbolization must transpire within the period represented by the scarlet-colored beast. And since the period of the scarlet-colored beast commenced in 1929, according to 2SR 114, obviously, therefore, the fulfillment concerning the symbolization of the scarlet-colored beast, God is telling you and I all the deceptions of Satan from 1929 onwards, and God revealed it through the symbolization of the scarlet-colored beast, by which such symbolization, not one of them refers anything in the past, anything prior 1929. It must be a revelation from 1929 onwards. So that is very plain, my dear brothers and sisters. Now, let us go back again to the reading. 2SR 113. It says, thus the scarlet-colored beast has 7 unharmed heads. The 7 heads represent Christendom, as they do on the leopard-like beast. But it is in the symbol of the scarlet-colored that they are called Babylon. So I would like to go back again to this very important question. Who are they by which they are called Babylon in the symbol of the scarlet-colored beast? What is the divine principle? Whatever the symbolization of the scarlet-colored beast, it must transpire within the period specified by the scarlet-colored beast. And since the scarlet-colored beast commenced in 1929, now, who are they that they are called Babylon? It must be from 1929 onwards, not 1929 backward. So, who are they that they are called Babylon in the symbolization of the scarlet-colored beast? If you will say that they are called Babylon in the symbol of the scarlet-colored beast, indicates that before the fulfillment of that symbol, they are not called Babylon. Because it is illogical that you will say, they are called Babylon in the symbol of the scarlet-colored, while in reality, they are already called Babylon even before the commencement of the scarlet-colored beast in 1929. Very easy to understand. Whoever this group of people are, whoever they are not called Babylon, not until in the symbolization of the scarlet-colored beast. But the question, what is specific symbolization of the scarlet-colored beast, brothers and sisters, by which they are called Babylon? Now let us continue reading here on 2SR 113. And then it says, and as he is full of names and blasphemy, it verifies the fact that he represents an exceeding sinful period. Look at this, 2SR 113. As he is full of names and blasphemy, it verifies the fact that he represents an exceeding sinful period. Full of names implied a period of a great multiplicity of so-called Christian sect, and blasphemy because of rejecting present truth, refusing to be corrected, and yet dare to call themselves by the name of Christ Christians. What is blasphemy according to this reading? rejecting present truth. Now, I would like to read this reading in 2TG. 2TG number, let me see. It says here, in 2TG number 17, page 9. 2TG number 17, page 9. It says, for one to be in such a deplorable condition, of course, the term deplorable, pointing to spiritual poverty. 2TG 17, page 9. For one to be in such a deplorable condition, and at the same time to contend that he has need of nothing, is indeed a blasphemy. What is a blasphemy? It must be pointed out to the people by which they were in a deplorable spiritual condition because the present truth was not in their borders. The present truth was not deposited by God in their movement. But yet they contend that they need of nothing. That is a blasphemy. But what is the other description of such blasphemy? Let us read in Timely Greetings. It says here, 2TG number 18, page 17. 2TG number 18, page 17. To blaspheme, 2TG number 18, page 17. To blaspheme is for one to speak lightly of God, to work hypocrisy, to profess to be something other than what one actually is. Inspiration's definition is this: I know the blasphemy of them which say they are Jews and are not, but are the synagogue of Satan. We know that Revelation 2 verse 9 is a figurative speech. The blasphemy is that although the present truth was not bestowed by God unto them, and they were contending that they need of nothing, and at the same time, they claimed that they were God's people. They claimed that they were the true movement of God. They claimed that they are the movement recognized by God as His. And the only thing that they love is the name. They pick up the name, and that is the only thing that they had. That they were telling to the people, we are the true movement because look at our name. And that is blasphemy, brothers and sisters. That is a blasphemy according to the shepherd's rod. And such blasphemy was portrayed in the book of Isaiah as the great apostasy. It is pointing to such great apostasy. So, we will discuss that portion as a part of this subject. But we will focus our whole attention concerning the entire symbolization of the scarlet-colored beast. I'm looking to that statement that Peter Hunter says, what they contend is only the name. And that is really what's happening today. Prophecy is fulfilling. I think that is in tract number 7, page 43. Although I will elaborate that on the next episode. So here in tract number 7, page 43, it says, 7 women, 1 man. 7 is the complete number. Women represents a church. Revelation 12, 1 and 2. Revelation 17, verse 3. But in this case, not the true or pure church, for there is a reproach. How true it is today that the churches will not accept the bread that came down from heaven. What is the bread came down from heaven? Present truth. But rather eat their own food, the traditions of men. They want the name, but reject the garment which Christ provides, and hence will be found at last without the wedding garment. So what they want? Only the name. They were contending the name. That is the only thing that they were doing, and that is a great blasphemy. Now let's go back to our main subject, the scarlet-colored beast. To repeat again, according to 2SR 113, it says, they are called Babylon in the symbol of the scarlet-colored beast. So that statement, there must be a specific group of people by which they are called Babylon in the symbol of the scarlet-colored. And I would like to re-emphasize again, whatever symbolization of the scarlet-colored, it must transpire within the period specified by the scarlet-colored, according to the shepherd's rod, 2SR page 88. And the period of the scarlet-colored commenced in 1929, 2SR 114. So there must be a group of people by which they are not called Babylon prior to 1929, but they must be called Babylon from 1929 onwards. So we need now to study who are they who are called Babylon in the symbol of the scarlet-colored, and what symbol, and when would that be the fulfillment of that prophecy. That in that specific particular symbol of the scarlet-colored, they are called Babylon. So
I would like to go back again to the reading in 2SR page 112. So let's read 2SR page 112.
Therefore, if this beast, that is the scarlet-colored beast,
2SR page 112.
therefore, if this beast represents our world at the present time,
Now, B.T. Hotep is pointing to 1929 onwards.
it says, this beast represents our world at the present time.
Now, let us read first the statement in 2SR page 245. 2SR page 245, it says,
Thus the second angel's message of Revelation 14 verse 8 was proclaimed immediately after the disappointment, saying, Babylon is fallen, is fallen. That is, the world in 1844 fell in the same manner as the one before the flood.
So what is the Babylon before the flood? The antediluvian world, by which it represented by Cain, right? Because before the flood, there was no nation, there was no state. And the shepherd's rod also declared clearly that Cain is the very first client of the woman, represented by Babylon. Now, I would like to read that reading in 2SR on page 124. 2SR page 124, it says, proving that Cain was her first client by presenting a counterfeit sacrifice, false doctrine, and by slaying his brother. And there must be antitypical Cain, brothers and sisters. It says, Cain was her first client of the woman. In 2TG, number 18, it says here, on page 17, this woman does not symbolize something new, but something as old as the time of the martyrs. For she is the cause of their slaying. What could she be but a counterfeit religion, which originated with Cain's unacceptable sacrifice? Since then, she has brought forth sectarianism, has become a mother of harlots. Her abominations, you note, are made very attractive, being dispensed from a golden cup held in hands that are gorgeously decked with the costliest things of earth. So, what is the representation of the woman? An acceptable sacrifice. Now, I would like to focus first to that portion that before the flood, there was no nation, only church. And brothers and sisters, that Babylon, which is pointing to the church, typifying the Babylon in October 22, 1844, which is addressed to the Lutherans, Presbyterian, Methodist, Baptist, and the First-day Adventists. So that is the antitype and the primary application of Revelation 14 verse 8. But we read several times in the Great Controversy 390, saying, but the perfect fulfillment of Revelation 14:8 is yet future. And not only the second angel, but the three angels, according to General Conference Special, page 39. The direct application must be in the judgment that pertains to the living. And the shepherd's rod made it so plain. In 2SR page 245, it says, the present world is called Babylon, because the kingdom of Babylon is the immediate one after the flood. Thus Babylon became the mother of the nations. The present world is called Babylon. What is the present world? Now let's go back again to our subject. It says in 2SR page 112, therefore if this beast represents our world at the present time, so what is the present world in 1929? Represented by the scarlet-colored beast. What is the scarlet-colored beast? Let us read one symbolic code number 4, page 7. One symbolic code number 4, page 7. And the image of the beast above mentioned is the third, of which the scarlet-colored beast of Revelation 17 is symbolical. So what is the scarlet-colored beast? Represents the image of the beast, which is represented by the scarlet-colored beast. So the question, what is the image of the beast? The image of the beast is the scarlet-colored beast. I would like to read the Great Controversy. The Great Controversy, page 438. So let's read the statement. The Great Controversy, page 438. In contrast to those who keep the commandments of God and have the faith of Jesus, the third angel points to another class against whose errors a solemn and fearful warning is uttered. If any man worship the beast and his image and receive his mark in his forehead or in his hand,
The same shall drink of the wine of the wrath of God. Revelation 14 verse 9 and 10. A correct interpretation of the symbols employed is necessary to an understanding of this message. What is represented by the beast? What is represented by the image? And what is represented by the mark? So these three is very important to understand the message of the third angel. What is represented by the beast? What is represented by the image? What is represented by the mark? Then it says, the line of prophecy in which these symbols are found begins with Revelation chapter 12. So when does the third angel message begin? Revelation chapter 12. So if we will be studying scarlet-colored beast, we cannot isolate Revelation chapter 12. Why? Because the scarlet-colored beast is the scheme of the devil. So we need to study Revelation 12 concerning the devil. So it says the line of prophecy in which these symbols are found begins with Revelation chapter 12. Now let us read 2SR. 2SR page 76. It says, John's vision in the 12th chapter of Revelation deals with two main subjects, namely the woman clothed with the sun and the red dragon. There are only two main subjects recorded in Revelation chapter 12. That is concerning the woman which is clothed with the sun and the red dragon. Remember, both the scarlet-colored beast and the red dragon, it says, the statement given in the Bible saying, go into perdition. Both of them. And both of them has the same color because scarlet also represented by red. Red dragon and a scarlet-colored beast. So, we need to study closely that the red dragon are still in existence today. Revelation chapter 12, in reality, is even more directly applied to the judgment that pertains to the living. Why? Because according to 2 TG 1231, the seventh seal is 15 chapters long. And in TRACT 15, page 10, the seventh seal commences from Revelation chapter 8 to 22. Obviously, therefore, chapter 12 is under the description of the seventh seal. Because the description of the seventh seal commenced on chapter 8 and ended on chapter 22. So chapter 12 is even more directly applied in the judgment that pertains to the living, not on the first advent of Jesus Christ. Why? Because at the crucifixion of Jesus Christ, the book of Revelation were not yet in existence. And at the time when the book of Revelation had been written, God Himself declared clearly that the events will take place hereafter. Revelation 4 verse 1. And the shepherd's rod declared clearly in 2SR page 191 saying, therefore the word hereafter in Revelation chapter 4 verse 1 means from the time of the vision pointing forward to 1844. From the time of the vision pointing forward to 1844. So, the book of Revelation must be directly applied from 1844 onwards. Now, let us focus our attention to the red dragon. Because the statement in the Great Controversy 438, the symbolization of the message of the third angel begins in Revelation chapter 12. I would like to read 2SR. It says here, page 119, 2SR page 119, the red dragon in Revelation chapter 12 verse 3 cannot be numbered with the numerous beasts, for he is not a symbol of a particular nation or government. He represents Satan and his schemes at a certain time, for he is called the devil and Satan. Revelation 12 verse 9. So, the shepherd's rod says, you cannot apply the red dragon in one particular nation or government. Because if you will apply the red dragon in one particular nation or government, then it must be applied only to pagan Rome. Because on the first advent of Jesus Christ, the red dragon, or the instruments of the red dragon at that time, it is pagan Rome. Now, I would like to read the Great Controversy 438. It says, the dragon is said to be Satan. The Great Controversy 438. The dragon is said to be Satan. Revelation 12 verse 9. It was that moved upon Herod to put the Savior to death. But the chief agent of Satan in making war upon Christ and his people during the first centuries of the Christian era was the Roman Empire, in which paganism was the prevailing religion. Thus, while the dragon primarily represents Satan, it is in a secondary sense a symbol of pagan Rome. But that is pointing to the first advent of Jesus Christ. That is why the red dragon cannot be applied only to one specific nation. But rather, we need to study the Bible is for prophecy. Where does the red dragon can be found? On the first advent of Jesus Christ, that is in pagan Rome. In the Dark Ages, that is on papal Rome. But how about in the judgment that pertains to the living? What nation specifically by which we could say the red dragon? So, it is very important to study closely. Now, according to the Great Controversy 438, the message of the third angel is pointing to the symbolization, what is the beast, what is the image of the beast, and what is the mark of the beast. But not only that, it says the lines of these symbols begins on Revelation chapter 12. And that is the red dragon. He is the author, the prime mover of the beast, the image, and the mark. And we are now studying the last deception of Satan, by which such deception is complete. And the only way that you could be able to escape such deception is to understand the chosen medium of God to completely uncovers the traps of the devil. And that is the scarlet colored beast, as well as the red dragon. Now, for example, I would like to read to you this reading. Revelation chapter 12, it says, verse 13, "And when the dragon saw that he was cast unto the earth, he persecuted the woman which brought forth the man-child." Revelation 12 verse 13, "And when the dragon saw that he was cast unto the earth, he persecuted the woman which brought forth the man-child." So this is the question. What church that had been persecuted by the dragon on the first advent of Jesus Christ? 100% all of us will agree that it is the Apostolic Church. Now let's read 2SR. 2SR page 69. It says, "The dragon with his 7 heads and 10 horns, with the crowns on the heads, appear at the birth of Christ, as previously explained, and occupies the period parallel with the nondescript beast. The heads are represented by the biblical number 7, meaning completeness, and embrace every religious system in the days of Christ. As the dragon represents the devil who controls the heads, the symbol unmistakably denotes a complete apostasy. It is not intended to reveal that the pagan system of worship was headed by the devil, for it has never been otherwise. It was the Jewish church that had apostatized, and that is what made the biblical number 7 heads." Now, let us read page 67 in 2SR. It says, "Satan still had access to heaven in Job's time. Therefore, he must have been cast out at a later date," says John. "And when the dragon saw that he was cast unto the earth, he persecuted the woman which brought forth the man-child." Revelation 12:13. The next necessary step is to find when the dragon first persecuted the woman. The Christian church. What church that had been persecuted by the dragon? The Christian church. It says, when the dragon first persecuted the woman, the Christian church, we shall then have the truth of the time Satan was cast out. That time of persecution is recorded in the Acts chapter 8 verse 1. "And Saul was consenting unto his death, the death of Stephen. And at that time there was a great persecution against the church, which was at Jerusalem, and they were all scattered abroad throughout the regions of Judea and Samaria, except the apostles." Thus, the great persecution against the church was about 34 AD. It is true that Satan persecuted Christ before that time, but Christ is not the woman. He is the child whom Satan wished to devour. Therefore, Satan was cast out immediately after Christ ascended on high. When does Satan had been cast out? On its primary phase. I would like to use the term primary phase. Immediately after Jesus Christ ascended to heaven. That is May 27, 31 AD. Therefore, let us put May 28, 31 AD. Satan and all his angels were cast out in heaven. And the only place that they could go around is only the earth. They were no longer allowed to go to the 11 planets. They were no longer allowed to go to the 88 constellations. How much more to the third heaven, which is the paradise of God. But this is the important question. Revelation 12:13 is very plain. That after the devil discovered that he was cast out, Because the statement, and he saw that he was cast out, there is another translation saying, and he realized. So at the moment that he recognized the fact that he was cast out, he persecuted the woman that brought forth the man-child. Now, there is no dispute to the fact that Satan was cast out immediately after Christ ascended to heaven. But this is the question. What church that had been persecuted by the dragon? The Christian church. And we know that the child mentioned there is Jesus Christ. Thus, the Christian church is the one that brought forth the man-child, which is Jesus Christ. We can produce many statements, but to have this one is sufficient enough. It says here in 2SR page 72, it says, thus it was the Jewish church that brought forth the Son of God and not the Christian. Now I would like to read again. 2SR page 72, it says, thus it was the Jewish church that brought forth the Son of God and not the Christian. So the occurrence in 34 AD by which the dragon persecuted the woman after he was cast out does not exactly fits to the description of the statement in Revelation 12:13. Because in Revelation 12:13, the woman that the dragon persecuted is the woman that brought forth the man-child. Very plain. Who brought forth Jesus Christ at His first advent? The Jewish church. But what church that had been persecuted by the dragon? The Christian church. The Christian church did not brought forth the man-child. Therefore, Revelation 12 verse 13 is still unfulfilled. Now, this is the question. Does Revelation chapter 12 literal prophecy or symbolical? Now, let us read tract number 5, page 26. It says, symbolical or literal, which? Tract number 5, page 26. Only when this question is rightly answered will we have the K, the correct interpretation, to unlock this great symbolical treasure house of truth. And then it says on page 41, for if every term is not symbolical, how shall we differentiate those which are from those which are not? And how shall we note by which to define the truth? So that statement in tract number 5, page 26, and tract number 5, page 41, plainly indicating, my dear brothers and sisters, that God would not mix up symbolical and literal. So there must be only one definite answer concerning Revelation chapter 12. It is a symbolical prophecy. And every term must be symbolical. For if every term is not symbolical, then how shall we differentiate those which are and from those which are not? And how shall we know by which to define the truth? For example, Revelation chapter 12. It is very important to study because that is the statement in the great controversy, right? Saying, the line of this prophecy, what prophecy? The message of the third angel. The line of this prophecy begins on Revelation chapter 12, or begins with Revelation chapter 12. Therefore, we need to study closely the symbolization on Revelation chapter 12. But according to the Shabbos Rod in 2SR page 76, there are only two main subjects on Revelation chapter 12. The woman which is clothed with the sun and the red dragon. Now let us focus first to the red dragon. It says here in Revelation chapter 12, on verse 12, it says, therefore rejoice ye heavens. Of course, the word heavens pointing to the 11 planets, the 88 constellations. Therefore rejoice ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea. Would you think the earth and sea here is literal? Then who are they, the inhabitants of the sea? Pointing to the fishes on the sea? No, it could not be. The earth and the sea mentioned here is the same in Revelation 13. So let's read again, Revelation 12, verse 12. Therefore, rejoice ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea. The very first one mentioned is the earth. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea. For the devil is come down unto you, having great wrath, because he knoweth that he hath but a short time. That statement that saying, he knoweth that he hath but a short time, is pointing to the time when the last ordained ministry are in existence. Now, let us go back again to the reading in White House Rick Ruther on page 24 and 25. Here, let every serious-minded reader, White House Recruiter, page 24 and 25. Here, let every serious-minded reader pause to ponder what inspiration says. Verses 19 and 20 explain that those who escape the slaughter of verse 15 and 16 are to be sent as missionaries to the Gentiles, who as yet know not God. Hence, these escaped remaining ones are God's remnant, His first fruits of the harvest, His guileless servants, the 144,000, the elect. And only they, none others, the Scriptures declare, shall bring all their brethren from all nations in a clean vessel into the purified house of the Lord, His white house. What is more, no right-thinking mind can even begin to conceive of the possibility that with any less holy and formidable an agency than such a mighty ministry, one escape from sin and sinners and judgment, can and will the Lord ever finish the work and cut it short in righteousness. Romans 9 verse 28, thereby saving His people from the terrible tempest that is now about to break upon the earth and lash it length and breadth. Satan grimly knows this. He knows his time is short and growing fearfully shorter. He knows that this faithful ministry are soon to be disclosed to view and to take the field against him. He knows that that will be his Waterloo. Hence his supreme effort now to eliminate them. Finding out at last, though that he cannot do so, his consequent aim will be to bring the time of trouble such as never was in hope of destroying all. We already explained that passage in White House Recruiter, page 24 and 25, that the effort of the devil is that he is determined that if possible, he could prevent the existence of that mighty ministry. He could prevent the existence of that last ordained ministry. But the time came that he discovered, he recognized the fact that the last ordained ministry were already in existence. And because of that, he moved very fast that if possible, the four winds will be released. That if possible, the mark of the beast system must be implemented before the 144,000 will be sealed. Because the last ordained ministry is pointing to the first of the first fruits. They are represented by the woman. Now let us read the statement here in symbolic code, by which the shepherd's rod says that, let me see if I could find that statement. The dragon was wrought with the woman and were the remnant of her seed. And it says the remnant of her seed is the 144,000 living saints. Old symbolic code, by which the prophet specifically declared that the remnant of her seed is the 144,000. One symbolic code number 9, page 4. One symbolic code number 9, page 4. The night is approaching and the shadows of the dark ages are beginning to fall upon God's people. What is the dark ages according to the Bible? The Great Tribulation. That is in Matthew 24, verse 21. So what does it mean by shadow? Type. The antitype is the Great Tribulation in Revelation 7, verse 14. So let us read again the statement. It says, one symbolic code number 9, page 4. The night is approaching and the shadows of the dark ages are beginning to fall upon God's people, when all that will live godly in Christ Jesus shall suffer persecution. 2 Timothy 3 verse 12. The time is nigh upon us, of which prophecy says, the dragon was wrought with the woman. The dragon was wrought with the woman and went to make war with the remnant of her seed, the 144,000. Who are they, the remnant of her seed? The 144,000, which keep the commandments of God and have the testimony of Jesus Christ. So, let's distinctly separate the woman, because the woman, that is the last ordained ministry, the first of the first fruits, the vanguard. And the remnant of her seed, they are the children of Zion. And they are the 144,000 living saints, according to the shepherd's rod, one symbolic code, number 9 on page 4. So, let's go back to Revelation 12:13. That verse are still unfulfilled. And that is in connection with the statement in tract number 14 on page 32. It says, tract number 14, page 32, the high points of this confederacy, some of which are still unfulfilled, fall into sequence thusly. But let us go to enumeration number 2. The birth of a man-child, Emmanuel, to a virgin for a sign to the house of David. Isaiah 7, verse 13 to 14. So this is still unfulfilled, the birth of a man-child. So the fulfillment on the first advent of Jesus Christ is not the fulfillment of Revelation 12:13. Because the Bible is very plain. Who is she, the woman that had been persecuted by the dragon? It is the woman that brought forth the man-child. Who is the man-child? So let's read again, tract number 14. Here in tract number 14, page 32, it says, in amplification, tract number 14, page 32 and page 33. In amplification of this cluster of events, several facts stand out in unmistakable self-interpretation. Emmanuel, by virtue of his virgin birth and his name, God with us, can only be Christ with us. He was born for a sign that the unholy alliance between Israel and Syria was to come to naught. So it says, brothers and sisters, that virgin birth, man-child, which is Emmanuel, it is pointing to Jesus Christ. But according to tract number 14 on page, let's read tract number 14 on page 34. Wherefore, the virgin birth prophecy does not refer alone to the birth of Christ, but even more significantly to his followers. So, that is very plain, brothers and sisters. So, Isaiah 7 verse 13 and 14 did not find its fulfillment, perfect fulfillment on the first advent of Jesus Christ. And that is why here in 12 symbolic code, number 1, it says here 12 symbolic code on number 1, pages 5 and 6. Since, as has already been pointed out, Christ, represented by Emmanuel, did not live in the time of such confederacy. It must be that not only Israel, Syria, and Assyria are types, but Christ himself is also a type. We learn that Emmanuel, meaning God with us, could represent only his true followers, the born-again Christians. So it points out to Christ's true followers. So if that is followers of Jesus Christ, they follow the Lamb whithersoever he goeth. That is the 144,000. And since the statement, Lamb can be referred only to the proceedings in the heavenly sanctuary, so the statement here in 2SR page 187, it says, the true worshippers in the earthly, who by faith look forward to the administration of the heavenly, were credited in the books of heaven as worthy of life eternal. 2SR page 187. So, let's go back to our subject concerning the red dragon and the scarlet colored beast. The red dragon and the scarlet colored beast. Now, I would like to connect Revelation 13. Revelation 13 and verse 11. It says, and I beheld another beast coming up out of the earth, and he had two horns like a lamb, and he spake as a dragon. So how does this beast speak? He spake as a dragon. Now, how does the dragon speak? So that we could understand. There are only two that I could give an example. First, in the how the dragon spake to Eve, how the dragon successfully deceived Eve. And I would like to read to you this reading in the Great Controversy. The Great Controversy, page 624. It says, the Great Controversy 624. Just the portion saying, his voice is soft and subdued, yet full of melody. It is concerning the voice of the dragon. It says, his voice is soft and subdued, yet full of melody. Because there is a wrong conception, brothers and sisters, to many Bible students, thinking that the statement, he spake as a dragon, the way he speak is very harsh. Then how he could be able to deceive if that is the way that the dragon is speaking? No, it is contrary. His voice is soft and subdued and full of melody. Now, let us go back to the subject, the scarlet-colored beast. What is the scarlet-colored beast? We already read, right? In 1 symbolic code, number 4, page 7. The scarlet-colored beast is the image of the beast. 1 symbolic code, number 4, page 7. The question is, how it is to be formed, and who made the image of the beast? Now, I would like to read the Great Controversy 443. It says, but what is the image to the beast? And how is it to be formed? The image is made by the two-horned beast. and is an image to the beast. It is also called an image of the beast. So now, this is the question. Who made the image of the beast? The two-horned beast. What is the two-horned beast? United States of America. So, we could now gradually decipher this very important prophecy. Who made the image of the beast? The two-horned. It is the two-horned beast. So, if the question is, who made the image of the beast? It is the two-horned. What is the image of the beast? Scarlet-colored. Or in other words, to understand what is the scarlet-colored beast, or to understand what is the image of the beast, we need to understand the scarlet-colored beast, because that is the image of the beast. Or in other words, the devil, Satan, he works in the dark, that he hides all his deception, that if possible, it cannot be detected by finite observation. But our Almighty God chosen the medium, the symbolization of the scarlet-colored beast, so that we could be able to answer the question, how the image of the beast is to be formed. Because that is the question in the Great Controversy 443. How does the image of the beast is to be formed? How? The question how, meaning in what way? What is the answer? I would like to go back to the Great Controversy. 443, it says, but what is the image to the beast, and how is it to be formed? The image is made by the two-horned beast, and is an image to the beast. It is also called an image of the beast. Then to learn what the image is like, and how it is to be formed, we must study the characteristics of the beast itself, the papacy. It says, we must study the characteristics of the beast itself. Now, in the light of the shepherd's rod, it's easy to understand by saying, if you want to understand the image of the beast, then study the beast itself, which is the scarlet-colored beast, because the scarlet-colored beast is the image of the beast. But why is it says the papacy? I would like to read the great 2SR page 271. As type, destroyed type, so antitype must have destroyed antitype. That is ancient Babylon, the type of the papacy. What is the papacy? Antitypical Babylon. Now, brothers and sisters, papacy is antitypical Babylon according to 2SR 271. How about the scarlet-colored beast? Let us read. 1 Symbolic Code number 4, page 7. 1 Symbolic Code number 4, page 7. It says, the image of the beast above mentioned is the third. 1 Symbolic Code number 4, page 7. The image of the beast above mentioned is the third, of which the scarlet-colored beast of Revelation 17 is symbolical. This is the only beast in the Revelation that is called Babylon. Now, the only beast in the book of Revelation which is called Babylon is the scarlet-colored beast. So, the statement in the Great Controversy, it says that if you want to understand how it is to be formed, then study the characteristics of the papacy. Because the papacy is Babylon, and the scarlet-colored beast is also Babylon. Now, let us pause for a moment, brothers and sisters, focusing our attention to the scarlet-colored beast. So, to repeat again, if the question is, what is the image of the beast? The answer must be, the image of the beast is the scarlet-colored beast. Then, the question, who made the image of the beast? The answer is, it is the two-horned beast that made the image of the beast. Great Controversy 443. What is the two-horned beast? Great Controversy 440. The two-horned beast, it points out unmistakably to the United States of America. So what is the direct answer? Who made the scarlet-colored beast? It is the United States of America. The one who will make the image of the beast, it is the United States of America. What is the image of the beast? A scarlet-colored beast. So let us distinctly separate the scarlet-colored beast in the old world and the scarlet-colored beast in the new world. Now, brothers and sisters, I would like to read 2 Symbolic Code, number 1, page 8. 2 Symbolic Code, number 1, page 8. So let us read. The above explains that the two-horned beast is the one to whom the number 666 belongs, and that this beast of Revelation 13, 11 to 18, and the king of the north of Daniel 11:45 are the same power. Therefore, the nation represented by this particular beast and the king of the north, or the man who is to be the head king of that nation in the time when this image beast, the two-horned. What is the two-horn? Image beast. The two-horn is not the image of the beast. It is not image to the beast, but rather image beast. So let us distinctly separate image beast. What is the image beast? The two-horn. What is the image of the beast? The scarlet colored. What is the image to the beast? That is the beast that will ascend in the bottomless pit. Now let's read the story of redemption. Page 381. Story of redemption, page 381. The beast and its image. By this first beast is represented the Roman Church. So, brothers and sisters, we know that Sister White and B.T. Hotep are inspired by the same spirit of inspiration. Therefore, there will be no contradiction from the writings of Sister White to the writings of B.T. Hotep. And B.T. Hotep himself testified in Answerer number 3, page 59, that Sister White was under the inspiration of the same spirit of inspiration that inspired the Bible writers. Answerer number 3, page 59. So I would like to read Story of Redemption, page 381. By this first beast is represented the Roman Church, an ecclesiastical body clothed with civil power. What beast mentioned here? Not the beast in Revelation 13, but the beast that ascend in the bottomless pit in Revelation 11. So let us read Revelation chapter 11. Revelation chapter 11 on verse 7 and 8. And when they shall have finished their testimony, the beast that ascended out of the bottomless pit shall make war against them, and shall overcome them, and kill them. And their dead bodies shall lie in the street of the great city, which spiritually is called Sodom and Egypt, where also our Lord was crucified. Revelation 11 verse 7 and 8. We know that two verses is under the sixth trumpet. And trumpet study is symbolical prophecy, not literal. And the great controversy plainly told us that Revelation 11 verse 7 and 8 was partially fulfilled during the Dark Ages. And without any doubts, brothers and sisters, that is pointing to the papacy during the Dark Ages. Now, let me see if I could find that statement. I think in page 273 or 274. It says, the beast that ascended out of the bottomless pit shall make war against them, and shall overcome them, and kill them. The atheistical power that ruled in France during the Revolution and the reign of terror did wage such a war against God and His holy word as the world has never witnessed. The worship of the deity was abolished by the National Assembly. Bibles were collected and publicly burned with every possible manifestation of scorn. The law of God was trampled underfoot. The institutions of the Bible were abolished. The weekly rest day was set aside, and in its stead, every 10th day was devoted to reveling and blasphemy. Baptism and the communion were prohibited, and announcement posted conspicuously over the burial places declared death to be an eternal sleep. The Great Controversy, page 274. So that is during the Dark Ages. So let's go back again to Story of Redemption, page 381. It says, by this first beast is represented the Roman Church, an ecclesiastical body clothed with civil power. So the first beast that ascend in the bottomless pit, that is in reality the Roman Church. It says, having authority to punish all dissenters. The image to the beast represents another religious body clothed with similar powers. The formation of this image is the work of that beast, whose peaceful rites and mild professions render it so striking a symbol of the United States. Here is to be found an image of the papacy, when the churches of our land, uniting upon such points of faith as are held by them in common, shall influence the state to enforce their decrees and sustain their institutions. Then will Protestant America have formed an image of the Roman hierarchy. Then the true church will be assailed by persecution as were God's ancient people. But we already read, brothers and sisters, that the image to the beast, which is an ecclesiastical body clothed with similar powers, civil powers, that is directly pointing to the evangelical church. So let us read here in the Great Controversy. The Great Controversy, page 444. Charles Beecher, in a sermon in the year 1846, declared that the ministry of the evangelical Protestant denominations is not only formed all the way up under a tremendous pressure of merely human fear, but they live and move and breathe in a state of things radically corrupt and appealing every hour to every baser element of their nature to hush out the truth and bowed the knee to the power of apostasy. Was not this the way things went with Rome? Are we not living her life over again? And what do we see just ahead? Another general council, a world's convention, evangelical alliance, and universal creed. When this shall be gained, then in the effort to secure complete uniformity, it will be only a step to the resort to force. So in this reading, brothers and sisters, we can easily discern that statement in Story of Redemption 381, the image to the beast, or the image to the beast that ascend in the bottomless pit during the dark ages, is the evangelical Protestant in the United States of America. So let us now, one by one, enumerate. What is the image of the beast? The image of the beast is the scarlet-colored beast. What is the image to the beast? That is the image to the beast that shall arise in the bottomless pit, an ecclesiastical religious body clothed with similar powers. That is the evangelical Protestants in the United States of America. But the most important question is that, how is it to be formed? Focusing to the image of the beast, which is the scarlet-colored beast, which is our subject. Who made the image of the beast? United States of America. And the most important question must be, when and how does the image of the beast is formed in the United States of America? Who is the author of the image of the beast? Of course, that is Satan, right? If you will say image beast, that is the number 666. It is called image beast. So, if the question must be, what is the number of his name? That is the image beast. I would like to read tract number 5, page 21. Tract number 5, page 21. It says, I saw, says Sister White, all that would not receive the mark of the beast and of his image in their foreheads or in their hands could not buy or sell. Revelation 13, verse 15 to 17. I saw that the number 666 of the image beast. So, unto whom the number 666? Image beast. So, the number 666 is of the image beast. So, if we'll be talking about 666, that is the image beast. But if we will say image of the beast, that is the scarlet-colored beast. Image to the beast, that is ecclesiastical body clothed with civil power. And that is the evangelical Protestant in the United States of America. So, in what way does the image of the beast had been formed? What is the image of the beast? The scarlet-colored beast. So, brothers and sisters, the Word of God, more particularly to the prophecy, it will never tell a lie. That statement in tract number 12, page 57, saying, thus the more sure word of prophecy, which never fails to tell the truth, plainly indicating that the sure word of prophecy will never tell a lie. More particularly to the symbols, because it says in 1 SR 124, symbols do not lie. So the only way that we could understand and we could give positive answer, how does the image of the beast is formed, is to study the characteristics of the scarlet-colored beast itself. So we need to study closely the characteristics of the scarlet-colored beast, because that is the only way that we could understand and comprehend how does the scarlet-colored beast is formed, which is the image of the beast. And we know that the one who formed the image of the beast is the United States of America. That is very plain. But I would like to read first to the answer of the question, when does the image of the beast is formed? Before focusing to that question, how does the image of the beast is formed? I remember the statement on tract number 3, third edition. Let's read. On tract number 3, on the third edition, it says, third edition, tract number 3, page 115. So I would like to read the statement. It says, the investigative judgment being in two sections, the first devoted to the dead and second to the living. Tract number 3, third edition, page 115. Let's read the statement. It says, the investigative judgment being in two sections, the first devoted to the dead, the second to the living, the fact is evidence that though the first, the second, and the third angel's messages, Revelation 14, 6 to 12, apply directly to the period of the judgment of the living, they must also, though indirectly, apply to the period of the judgment of the dead. Then it says, in this relation only, except as a warning of coming events, they have been preached since 1844. So, what had been preached since 1844? Only in relation to the judgment that took place in the heavenly sanctuary. And then it says, when therefore the judgment of the living commences, and the image of the beast is fully made up, then these messages are with a loud cry to be repeated as present truth concerning the living instead of the dead. Now look at the statement says, when therefore the judgment of the living commences, and the image of the beast is fully made up. You see, when the judgment of the living commences, the image of the beast is fully made up. Now, let me read to you. 2SR 171. 2SR page 171. It says, the sealing of the 144,000 is at the closing of the judgment of the dead and at the beginning of the judgment of the living. I would like to focus first at the beginning of the judgment of the living. So, listen carefully. When we talk about judgment of the dead, that is in the heavenly sanctuary. Because concerning the judgment that pertains to the dead, according to White House Recruiter, page 20, it is purely bookwork transaction. It says here in White House Recruiter, page 20, it says, as the cleansing of the sanctuary in behalf of the dead is necessarily purely a book transaction. That is the reason for its taking place only in the heavenly sanctuary. The same with the statement in tract number 5. Tract number 5, page 109. It says, the investigative judgment of the dead consequently takes place in the heavenly temple only. So the investigative judgment of the dead takes place in the heavenly temple only. So, the statement in 2SR 171 saying, the sealing of the 144,000 is at the closing of the judgment of the dead. That is why we need to understand the statement, the beginning of the judgment of the dead and the closing of the judgment of the dead. The beginning of the judgment of the dead, that is blotting out of sins. But if you will say closing of the judgment of the dead, that is already granting of rewards. Because there are only two proceedings in the most holy place according to 2SR 189. Blotting out of sins and granting of rewards. What does it mean by granting of rewards? Inscribing their names in the book of resurrection. The same with the statement in 12 Symbolic Code, number 3, page 18. To give them right to arise in the first resurrection. The first general resurrection. And let us go back again to our reading, brothers and sisters. 2SR 171. The sealing of the 144,000 is during the period when the judicial proceedings in the most holy place is the closing work of the judgment of the dead. Closing work. Inscribing their names in the book of resurrection. What resurrection? Daniel 12, the sixth seal. But on earth, it says, at the beginning of the judgment of the living. So, the sealing of the 144,000 is at the beginning of the judgment of the living. And the Shepherd's Rod says in tract number 3, 3rd edition, page 115, that when the judgment of the living commences, the image of the beast is fully made up. What is the image of the beast? The scarlet-colored beast. Or in other words, at the commencement of the judgment of the living, all the descriptions concerning the image of the beast, which is the scarlet-colored beast, are all in existence, fully made up. And that is why, in tract number 8, it says, I would like to read, tract number 8 on page 22, beginning from page 21, it says, tract number 8, page 21. I saw 4 angels standing on the 4 corners of the earth at the time of the sealing of the 144,000. When does the 4 angels standing on the 4 corners of the earth? At the time of the sealing of the 144,000, holding the 4 winds of the earth, that the wind should not blow on the earth, nor on the sea, nor on any tree. On page 22, it says, accordingly, page 22, in tract number 8, accordingly, God's restraining of the 4 winds is holding back the image of the beast activity. Now, I would like now to relate the whole story. What is the image of the beast? Scarlet-colored beast. What is the scarlet-colored beast? The image of the beast. What is the 4 winds? Image of the beast. What is the 4 winds? Mark of the beast system. And the Shepherd's Rod says that the image of the beast was fully made up at the commencement of the judgment of the living. What is the commencement of the judgment of the living? Sealing of the 144,000. And that is the reason why Jesus Christ commanded the angels to hold the 4 winds. What is the 4 winds? The image of the beast, the scarlet-colored beast, the 4 winds. So the question, when does the image of the beast is completely formed? At the commencement of the sealing of the 144,000, the image of the beast is fully made up according to the shepherd's rod, according to the Bible. So hold the four winds. What is the four winds? The image of the beast. Tract number 8, page 22. So going back again to White House Recruiter, page 24 and 25. At the time when the devil recognized the fact that the 11th hour ministry were already in existence, he immediately moved very fast and then made up the scarlet colored beast. His last card. That is the last card of the devil. And he tried to the utmost of his ability that if possible, the image of the beast, which is the four winds, must be released, must be implemented before the 144,000 are sealed in order to destroy them all. Because he is very frightened knowing that the 11th hour ministry were already in existence and they are the one who will awaken the 144,000. But God is more powerful than Satan. He failed to do so. There is a supernatural power. God hold the four winds. Satan want to release the four winds, indicating that at the commencement of the sealing of the 144,000, the four winds are already in existence. And the only reason that it had not been implemented because of the power of God. God controlled the power of the devil. That such implementation of the mark of the beast system, that the winds cannot blow, cannot release, not until the 144,000 will be protected and will be sealed. So, to repeat again, the question, when does the image of the beast is formed, which is the scarlet colored beast? At the commencement of the sealing of the 144,000. In that very moment, the image of the beast is formed, according to the shepherd's rod. Tract number 3, 3rd edition, page 115. So, the remaining question, which is the most important that we need to settle down, is in what way, how does the image of the beast is formed? We will no longer be studying to prove that the image of the beast must be formed, because the Bible will not tell a lie. It must be formed. It will exist. It will be formed. But the most important is, why is it that it was formed? In what way? What is the spiritual side? So we'll explain that portion on our next episode, and hoping that the good Lord will bless us and will help us. Thank you very much. Have a beautiful, wonderful evening.